Are you programming yourself to be stressed, unhappy, or sick? Well, here are some things that you may be doing that could be sabotaging you. Now, how many subliminal messages are entering your mind, or not even subliminal, how many messages are entering your mind that are weighing you down, causing stress in the back of your mind, even dread, even doom and gloom, and you may not even be aware of it. So I want to talk about some of these things that we innocently have in our life that do cause stress. Okay, number one is watching the news. Whenever you turn on the news, there is nothing that is positive. Very rarely, there may be at the end, one very small segment of something positive, but all in all, it is pretty much doom, gloom, politics, war, interest rates, inflation, cost of living, everything that creates more stress and has our mind think about those things more and makes us scared. I had this recent experience where about 6 months ago, I was following someone on Instagram and they were reporting the news, right? They were reporting things that were happening in the area. I stopped following this person because it was terrifying me seeing the things that were happening around, not so much my neighborhood, but not so far from me. And somehow she's popped up in my feed again. And it's not to say that this person is doing anything wrong. She is reporting the news. But the impact that it had on me, I saw one video of people getting broken into, and it was on my mind for 5 days. I was scared when I went to bed at night. I was worried if I woke up in the middle of the night, if I was going to find someone in my house. Like really crazy, right? And so that video really left an imprint on me. And when you think about it, maybe you're not seeing stuff as dramatic as that, but you might be seeing a lot of things on the news. You might wake up in the morning, turn the news on, or get it on your device, right? Whether it be through any of the social media channels, you may be getting the news that way. And it's just giving you a dose of stress hormones, okay? It's not giving you a sense of peace or a sense of comfort or a sense of joy. It is just delivering stress and anxiety. And if you check that first thing in the morning, you're going to start your day feeling stressed and anxious. And even if it's not doom and gloom, maybe it's the political situation, maybe it's the economies or things that instigate or initiate a lot of strong emotions for you that cause a lot of frustrations. Like it's not a way to start the day, it's not a way to end the day. And unless you're going to have an impact on those scenarios, and very rarely do we have an impact on politics, but unless you can have an impact there, a lot of that stuff is filling up your mind and causing a lot of stress and frustration and anxiety. And it's not just the news. There is other ways that we are being programmed. I had a client say to me the other day, I'm in my 40s, and so therefore it's either frozen shoulder or I'm going to have painful hips. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, yeah, because that's what you have in perimenopause. Like everyone has that. I'm like, everyone? Really? And it was really interesting to me because, again, there were a lot of people sharing their stories, and perimenopause seems to have exploded online. But there are a lot of people sharing their stories and their symptoms, which you don't realize are innocently programming you, okay? And programming you to expect those certain outcomes. And let me assure you that these messages do have an impact on your physiology, and I'm going to explain more. And the third one I want to talk about is, are you programming yourself to be dissatisfied? Right? You just have to jump on social media. Everyone shows their best stuff, happy family, great business, great content, great travel experience, great children, whatever it is, right? And you may jump on social media and feel inadequate or dissatisfied with your life because that stuff is all throughout the feed. There was a psychologist many years ago, Alfred Adler, and he had the Adlerian psychology, and he said that most human suffering comes from feeling inferior and striving to feel superior, okay? And a lot of that comes down to comparison to others. So you think about it, the social media channels like Instagram or Facebook, particularly Instagram, is really going to trigger that sense of comparison and quite potentially make you feel dissatisfied with your life. And Alfred Adler said that our contentment and our fulfillment comes from personal development and contributing to society rather than competing with others. So the reason why I bring all of this up and why do I say, are you programming yourself with these things, is because our mind is such a powerful tool when used in the right way. So our mind has the ability to solve our problems, overcome our challenges, and find solutions. That's for the real stuff. But if we're filling our mind with problems that are not really for us to solve, the news, the dissatisfaction with our life, symptoms that other people are going through, but particularly all that doom, gloom and dread that is on the news and TV and often social media. If we're filling our mind with that stuff, with that, I guess, garbage thoughts, our mind is going to work to solve those problems. So you may find that those types of messages create an underlying stress and anxiety, which our mind will try to resolve for us. But they're not really problems in our everyday life. They're not a problem that we have today that we need to resolve. And so rather than wasting our ability to solve problems on the news economy, political landscape, and whatever it is, we would rather save our energy and our mental space and our nervous system for the things in our life that we can change, that we can overcome, that we can recreate and make better. And the other thing is that a lot of that messaging, if you're getting it every single day, and you might find that you might have to unfollow people on social media and avoid the news, which I highly recommend, because that becomes your sense of truth, right? That becomes your sense of reality, that we live in this world that is really dangerous, that is really scary, that it's all doom and gloom. While there are those things that are 100% in our world, there is so much good in the world and there's so much good things and good stuff happening that if we're not seeing that on a day-to-day basis, we're going to have this more negative mindset. So going back to my client who said that, in your 40s, it's either frozen shoulder or it's sore hips. It's kind of like seeing someone's messaging on Instagram or social media about their symptoms. And like I said, this is kind of when I talk about perimenopause, that kind of feels like it's exploded online. But that's no different to looking up Dr. Google, right? And then feeling scared of your symptoms. And your mind can send messages to your body that make that a reality. And if you don't believe that's true, you just have to look at the placebo and nocebo effect. Placebo is getting a fake pill or a sham surgery with the belief that it will make you healthy, that it will help you, right? And so people have changes to their physiology through a placebo. And then you have the nocebo effect, which is the belief that it will cause harm. And so they've also tested the nocebo effect, which is, they give people a saline solution, they tell them that it's chemotherapy, and they lose their hair. So the messaging that we're taking in is having an effect on our body, on our physiology, on our biochemistry and on our hormones. And I think if you've got enough on your plate, you really don't need anything more from the outside. Recently, I was hearing someone's story about, cutting out all of this programming from your life. And this person was undergoing chemotherapy and was not going to buy in to the story that chemotherapy makes you sick and makes you lose your hair. And she didn't. She didn't get sick on it and she didn't lose her hair, which I find really fascinating. And I think this is something that we probably don't focus on enough, but the power of words and the power of suggestion is so significant in changing our body and even changing our behavior and the things that we do in our life. So what I really want to highlight here is what enters your mind. You should really protect what enters your mind. Like, how much TV are you watching? How much of the news are you digesting? How much time are you spending on social media? How much of that messaging is coming through? I remember years ago, I got sick of the body messages for women, right? Looking a certain way and etc. And so I remember, this is a long time ago, I stopped buying magazines. I used to buy like the Women's Health magazine and fashion magazines, and I stopped buying them because I thought, I'm so sick of this getting into my subconscious mind. And it made a huge difference to not see that stuff anymore. And so then you're looking at the new way we get that information, which is, like I said, on all our devices and on the TV and on Netflix as well. And how much of that are you absorbing each week, and how much can you cut back on? Let me know in the comments below, how much time are you spending on your devices? And honestly, how much do you think this messaging is really seeping in, whether it be the doom and gloom from the news, about other people's symptoms that may scare you that you're going to get, or any other kind of messaging out there online? Let me know in the comments below.